What style of rap are you? Today is going to be all about examining different styles of rap that you can use to bring forth your message in a rap style. Let's get into the video. Yo, what is up everybody? I am Legend and welcome to the next episode of Sound Architect. In this video, I'm going to be talking about different styles of rapping techniques that you can use to apply in your songs if you're a rapper or want to get into rapping. Just like last week, how I talked about different types of singers there are and which one that you want to choose to bring forth your music. In this one, I'm going to be showing you different styles and how it affects your recording, your process, your creativity, all that stuff. So I've got a list of a couple of different rappers that I want to examine on today with like 4 different styles of raps, 5 if you include like a mixed category. 4 main styles that I like to examine, that I like to acknowledge because they're very prominent in today's music industry. I figure you would resonate with at least one of these if you want to be a rapper indeed. Indeed, that's so like, indeed. Yes, indeed, if you want to be a rapper, indeed. So without further ado, I don't want this to be a super long video. We're gonna go ahead and dive into some examples, some different rappers that I wanna kind of demonstrate and show you the work of and kind of break down how they fit into these different categories. So let's jump into the computer. Alright, so like I've said in all of my other videos, this is not going to be like a deep dive breakdown into like how to deliver your raps as far as like styles and rhythm and things like that, because there's a million different things we can look into. This video is mainly focused on the stylistic choices, the ways that you can bring about what you're trying to rap about. Just like how singers have powerhouses and soft delivery and minimal delivery, the same thing can be said about rappers. We're going to start off with what I think is the most popular choice these days, auto-tuning rappers. How I like to refer to it as melodic rappers. These are rappers that like to rap with some kind of notation, some kind of melody with their raps, with their delivery, and I think it's a great way to bring across your idea and to add another bit of flavor to your raps, because we all know that raps, they're just spoken words. It's like poems, but you're saying it to a beat, and so adding that layer of melodic tone to it can give it a totally different feel. Obviously, I have to talk about the most popular choice right now, the one that everybody loves, Travis Scott. I'm gonna look at his song Wake Up because it does feature heavily his auto-tuning. A lot of people think that I have a problem with this style. I don't have a problem with this style. When I teach my auto-tune, it's for singers, and so this is not particularly good in my opinion for singers because this is a little bit too much. But rap wise, this kind of style can be utilized a little bit more because you're not actually singing, you're just rapping, but you're adding a melodic tone to it. So anyway, that's enough talking. Let's just listen to what I'm trying to bring across.
Please don't wake me up, I feel it creeping. Controlling how you move, a lucid dreaming.
So right off the bat, you can hear in this example right here, he's rapping, he's got that flow going, but it's a melodic rap, so it kind of has that singer's flip to it, you know what I mean? But he's not claiming to be a singer. He's rapping with a tone. You can easily turn this into a regular rap, but adding that melodic side to it gives it another bit of flavor, another bit of spice that you wouldn't have had if you just rapped it outright. Another cool thing about this approach is that it makes the song more memorable. When listeners hear raps, of course, like if it's a really dope like line, it's going to be memorable to them, like, you know, be humble, sit down, like there's no singing to that, but it's memorable because it's a very straightforward line. When you have other types of songs, or even if you still have a simple song but you want to make it even more of a pop worthy song, like something that's going to chart, something that's going to blow up, put a melodic tone to it. Songs and notes have a way of creeping into someone's mind and making something even more catchy. That is another thing that I like about this particular approach.
Always on this side of different season. Yeah. Took the back.
So another thing that I noticed about rappers who use autotune is, in like Travis Scott's case, and sometimes Kanye West and a lot of other people like Migos do it as well, because they're not claiming to be singers, because they're not trying to sound natural in their rapping, they just jack it all the way up. Again, this is a creative choice. As I teach in my other videos, this is not something you want to do if you want to have a natural sounding singing. As I say in my autotune, everybody hates on that video. Don't get me wrong, there is a difference between creative choice and how something is intended to be used. used. And this is where I say this is the creative choice, and this is where it is widely accepted, and it should be, because it's creatively chosen to be that way. If you want to rap to your songs and you want to add that melodic tone to it, that auto-tune to it, and you don't care about whether or not you're perceived as a good singer, then go ahead, crank it all the way up, turn that auto-tune all the way up. That can be your style. It can sound robotic because you're not trying to be a singer. On a flip side, I want to flip from the Travis Scott like super digital sound to something that's a little bit more calm, and this is another auto-tuning rapper, another rapper that has a melodic tone, but he uses it on a more toned down scale, and that is Jadena. It's not too digital, but it's also not him singing, trying to be like, you know, I'm singing a ballad, you know? So one song in particular, probably his most popular song, is Classic Man, and this is where you can totally get the vibes that this is a melodic rap, but it's not totally singing.
Darling, calling all night. I can be a fool when I'm being polite.
Like, if you have the ears, you can tell, you can hear in the slight changing of the notes in between the notes. Calling all night. It's got that slight pitch shift to the next note. Blah, blah, blah. But it's not so drastic to where it sounds robotic. So this is a more natural approach. If you want to go the Drake route, if you want to go the Jadena route, you can have your melodic raps. You don't have to sound like a robot if you don't want to. And that's something that I would encourage, because I know Travis Scott popularized that sound, but because he popularized that sound, everybody's trying to do that sound now. And so when you try to do it, you just sound like another Travis Scott clone. I would suggest, if you do that approach, try to find your own way to put your own spin to it. But if not, you can tone it down like Jadena does, because not very many rappers are doing that right now. You can have that melodic rap, you can have those keys and those notes in your raps and your songs, but it can be a little bit more natural sounding, just as good of a approach as Travis Scott. It doesn't take away from your creativity just because you turn down the pitch correction knob.
Oh me, oh my. Why can every woman end up being my wife?
Like, it's just very minimal pitch correction, very minimal, very slight, very minute, but that's what makes this clean, and it fits his image. You want to pick a style that's going to fit with your image. When we talk about these two different auto-tuning types, it's still auto-tune. On one end, the Classic Man, you know, he's clean, he's proper, he's all put together. This is his image, you know, so his sound matches that by having a very like clean amount of auto-tune. On the flip side, you have Travis Scott, which is at his live show, he's this wild child jumping off the balconies and yelling and screaming and running around and jumping, and this super high energy. You know, he's got this high octane value to him when he performs, when he presents himself, in his music alone, in the beats. And so his auto-tune, it's so, you know, raised that it also fits the vibe of his aesthetic. His aesthetic is just crazy, wild, high octane, high power, high strung, just all over the place. His image matches his sound. And so you want to pick a sound, a style that matches with you. That's way number one. And just a couple of examples for you guys. Style number two, I talked about this in my how to record rap vocals video. Stacking rappers who stack their vocals, who emphasize certain parts in their song. This is something that I preach over and over and over again on this channel, particularly with singers, but rappers do it as well. Not as often these days. It was more popular in the earlier like 90s and early 2000s, but there are still some rappers who do stack their raps and emphasize certain parts. And in this song, Cardi B does a lot of it, and I want to kind of just demonstrate what it is. So
and you grip my daughter. You know a bad bitch gon' spoil her.
That was stacked.
New York, need one in Georgia.
So that you know a bad B, then that part was stacked right there. You guys got to really listen to it because it's mixed very well. But it's just an example of having parts that you want to emphasize. Like, it's often like every other beat is the one that it gets emphasized. It doesn't always have to be that way, but that's the most common way to do it. So you rap one line, and then the rap that you rhyme with that line is the one that gets stacked.
My money's still long like weed.
Nothing.
Pussy still wet like water.
That was stacked.
Everyone thought she was talking, but not anymore.
She was talking, but not anymore. That was stacked. If you heard the voices panned out right there. It is not just done in singing, it's done in rapping, and this is a perfect case of that.
Next to your base, I contour. This shop like a ship from the York.
You see what I mean? The blunt, one voice, and the next line was the blunt, the more than one voice.
Done with the talking, I'm up in the violence. Ask anybody, they know I'm about it.
A bunch. This is it's a really simple style. It's a really simple way to record your rap vocals, to bring across your idea in rap. So I don't really have much to say about this. It can add a little bit more of dynamics to your song. If you have a song where you're doing a rap, your delivery's there. You know, there's some rappers that their delivery's so good they don't need to do this. And Cardi B's one of those people, don't get me wrong. But also, it doesn't hurt sometimes if you want to add that extra emphasis, if you want to drive home, like, I want my listeners to hear this part. That's just another way to get your idea is out as a rapper. Next up, it kind of goes along with stacking, but it's not stacking. It's actually doing ad-libs. This is another way to liven up a song, especially if you're a rapper who raps with just no stacks at all. You just rap with no notes at all, no melodic tone, no nothing. But you need to liven up a song, especially if it's a high energy song. I'm going to look at who I think is pretty much the king of doing ad-libs, other than Migos, because I know they do it a lot too. But Designer, he's so over the top with how he does his ad-libs. So obviously Panda is the example that I need to show in today's video.
I got broads in Atlanta, twisted the lean in the family.
All that like, it's just so much nonsense going on. As crazy as it sounds when you do it by yourself, like, it sounds stupid. Who does that? Like, I'm not gonna say that walking down the street, you know what I mean? But when you put it in a song creatively, it adds that extra layer of chaos. It adds that extra layer of interest and dynamics. And here's another thing about ad-libs. You don't want to just always keep it coming straight down the middle in both headphones. The great thing about ad-libs is a lot of rappers who know what they're doing, they pan it in different ears. So they'll have one ad-lib that comes out of just the left ear, or one ad-lib that comes out of just the right ear. I just did it backwards. You get this surround sound experience. The listener, it feels like there's vocals coming at them from all different angles, and I think that's something that Designer does really well, and why this song was so popular, because it was so high energy, so high octane, but it kept the listener engaged, especially if you're listening on headphones, which I think the majority of people are when they're streaming it on their phones. Wow! Like, you don't even have to really say anything. Sometimes, like, Ryan Leslie repeats what he's saying in the rap, so he'll just repeat like the last rhyming word or something like that. But then you have rappers like Designer who just do random sound effects, and all that stuff. It doesn't have to make sense. It's just an ad-lib. It's just there for spice. Like, you're sprinkling salt and pepper on top of a burger patty. You know, that's what ad-libs are doing essentially here. Finally, I want to talk about what is pretty much the most simplest form of rapping, which is just doing a straight, minimal, one voice rap. The example that I have here is actually Kendrick Lamar. Now, Kendrick is a very intricate rapper because he utilizes all of these different tools that I just talked about. But one thing that I know that he does really well in a lot of his songs is just straight one vocal, nothing else.
Hey, I remember syrup sandwiches and crime allowances for
one voice. Just remember, this is all just one take, one lead, no ad-libs, no stacks, no melodic stuff, no nothing. One single rapper voice. It's just hard to explain why. I mean, I think the simplicity of it, because one thing about being simple, it's just like how, you know, when you come up with a melody for a chorus in a song that you're singing, and you don't put harmonies on it. You just keep it, the chorus as one note. It's a lot more memorable to the fans around there, so the song becomes a big hit. This is kind of similar. If you put too much on a rap song, it sounds dope, but the average listener is not going to be able to repeat what they just heard because there's so many parts going on. But with this, you know, people learn these kinds of songs so fast because they're so simple. It's a very memorable beat. So this particular style also needs to have a very electric beat, a very strong beat, I'll say. A beat with some foundation, something that's going to hit hard enough to where you don't have to add all different kinds of stacks and ad-libs and things like that. The thing about this whole one lead for rapping, you do want to change it up with the chorus. You do want to change it up in some way, or with the beat, with the actual words you're singing, with stacking on the chorus or something like that. Just something that pushes the song forward, you know what I mean? And in this case, he adds the ad-libs, the shut up, or whatever he's saying, and hold up. And then also he's stacking. So that adds a little bit of extra flair to it, so that it breaks apart from this solo voice that you hear throughout the entire video.
Bitch, sit down.
Stacks, you hear the panning of the ad-libs going from one ear to the next ear, and then he's just doing the lead. Some more examples of people who mix their styles together. Nicki Minaj, Drake, these are all really great examples because they sing and they rap. They have the melodic side that is sometimes can be auto-tuned, and they have the regular bars side, you know, and then they add their ad-libs when they feel like it. There's so many different styles you can take on as a rapper, but I hope, you know, what I talked about in this video did help. Please feel free to leave a comment down below, leave a like if you have any questions or anything like that. As always, I'll see you in the next video next week, and stay legendary.